Hello, Holy Apostles. Father Jim Barron here. Thanks for joining me on this fireside chat. There are two brief things that I wanted to send a video out to the parish after having been away this last week at our priest convocation. The first is to follow up on an announcement that I made at Masses last week. Some weren't at that Mass, and so this may be news. As we know, change is the only constant in life, and I've been at Holy Apostles for 6 years, which is sort of the average assignment length, and I will be receiving a new assignment this coming July. This new assignment will lead me to be a priest in residence at St. Gabriel's Parish, helping out with Spanish Mass and some weekly Masses and maybe some Masses on the weekend, then a couple other pastoral needs there. But my primary work will be serving at the diocese, helping the bishop as the director for mission and strategic planning. This particular assignment will lead me to take charge and help the bishop accomplish some different tasks that he may not have the bandwidth for himself, other things that may help benefit the diocese, things like the Eucharistic revival that's going on nationwide in the next 3 years, helping to compile the Synod on Synodality results, the survey and feedback that has been given in the listening sessions, stewardship as a way of life in our parishes and helping to sort of unpack that with our stewardship office, and a couple other things. There are certainly things that we will kind of develop along the way, but it's kind of a position for helping to get things done and things that may help us as a diocese overall. So I'm excited for the possibilities, but certainly there will be a lot of sadness in leaving the parish. I do want to say, and I will continue to say this over these next weeks that we have together, is I'm very proud of this parish, and I really admire how much the parishioners look after one another. I've preached on this theme a number of times, that you and I are co-laborers for the gospel, each in our own way, in our own vocations, me as an ordained priest, to help serve the church, yes, in persona Christi, in the sacraments, above all in the Eucharist, and as a pastor, but really priests aren't the entirety of the church. We lead the church in our own vocation, just as the rest of the lay faithful, all Catholics, all baptized, are called to serve the church and to serve Christ in our own particular capacities. And to see how this has been done by so many generous parishioners giving of their time, their resources, their talents, their energies to help further the gospel. And it's not always in very structured ways. We've sort of shifted a little bit of away from emphasizing particular ministries as the most important and central way to serve the church, versus our own personal apostolates rooted in our baptism, where we are called by Christ to serve the gospel very locally in our own particular situations and states of life. And how people do this in our parish is really wonderful to see. I want to continue to encourage this and honor and recognize those many people who do this. Again, more to say over these next weeks, but just a particular word of gratitude, because this will help us in our parish transition into receiving the new pastor, Father Thomas Yamka. He's a priest coming right from Lyman, from the parish cluster out there. He's known to some who may have been up in Parker at Ave Maria. Father Tom is a very dear priest, and I'm excited that he's going to be taking the pastor's office here at Holy Apostles. He'll also be assisted by soon-to-be Father Matt Kane, a familiar face to the parish when he was with us as a seminarian just a few summers ago. But pastorally speaking, the parish will be in very good hands, but it already is because the parish is full of so many good, hardworking disciples, people who know Jesus, who love Jesus, who want others to know and love him also. We'll have some time to pray and to talk with each other and to certainly console and also encourage one another over these next weeks. But really, please know that you will be in very, very good hands with Father Tom and Father Matt. And the truth must be stated, Jesus is the Lord. He is here, he is not going anywhere. And he is the true reason why any one of us come to church, why he is at the heart of the church, especially above all in the sacraments. So things will continue to move in the great direction that they have been in our parish, but overall in the life of the church. That doesn't mean we don't have challenges. That doesn't mean there won't be many things that we'll have to work through and discover the Lord's activity therein. But the Lord, again, remains very active, and he's doing some powerful things locally in our diocese and especially in our parish. I'd like to now pivot to the second topic that I mentioned at the beginning, that some of you have probably heard or read in the news, the leaked Supreme Court document indicating the Supreme Court justice's inclination to overturn Roe versus Wade, which is a very unjust decision that was established decades ago. But this consideration is misrepresented in the media. We should be smart about this. We should do our research and understand what actually would take place. The Supreme Court overturning of Roe versus Wade would basically put the decision-making power back to the states and to local voters. It wouldn't be a federal or a national enfranchisement of abortion, but rather, again, would put it back down to the states. So be aware of rhetoric that is overextending or exaggerating what the Supreme Court decision would allow. But in wake of this leaked document, which is a shameful thing to begin with, many radical pro-abortion groups are starting to really indicate that people should be causing a lot more havoc. And one of the things that certain radical pro-abortion groups are encouraging is that people protest at Catholic churches beginning this weekend, ironically on Mother's Day, sort of tastelessly if you ask me. But this call to protest at Catholic churches is specifically targeting the Catholic Church because a number of the Supreme Court justices are Catholic, or at least nominally Catholic, and the Catholic Church has been leading the charge with the evangelical churches in the fight for life and standing up for the unborn and trying to provide a voice for these who have been trampled upon or ignored by these very, very powerful lobby groups like Planned Parenthood and other pro-choice groups. And so perhaps potentially this weekend we may see protesters trying to approach the parish. I don't think it's very likely, but I want you to be aware just in case. Protesters are trespassing on church grounds because they are not here to worship and to prayerfully enter into that time that we are to gather together for at Mass. And so I've told our St. Michael Ministry folks and other people in the parish that if they see protesters approaching, to immediately call 911 because, again, this is trespassing, and if possible, to bar access to the building. Sometimes protesters will enter the building in plain clothes without visible signs and then disrupt the Mass when it begins. If this happens, I've asked our St. Michael Ministry leadership to basically block them but without physically engaging them, and to immediately call 911 and to have the police come and remove the protesters from the premise. If this happens, again, remote chances, not likely, but in case it does, whether it's at Masses this Sunday or throughout the week, please do not physically engage these protesters. What we will do as a parish, especially with the priests, we will pause the celebration of the liturgy and simply begin praying, especially praying the Hail Mary. The most beautiful woman, the most important creature in God's creation is our Blessed Mother, and so we'll pray for her intercession in a special way, and continue to pray that those Hail Marys until the protesters leave, if they do. Again, I don't think this is a likely occurrence, but just in case, we'll know what to do. Don't be alarmed. We should certainly be saddened by people disrupting an act of prayer with their insistence that somehow the Catholic Church is as one of the greatest oppressors of women throughout history, as they say. And again, ironic because our Blessed Mother is God's most perfect creation, and she is the great example of what all Christians should be. And so, if this happens, please be aware of what to do, what not to do. Again, physically engage, and most likely even just verbally engage. I think we should just ignore them and then go about our prayer until the law enforcement is able to come and remove them from the premise, if that's what happens. Take cues from the priests and then from the St. Michael Ministry folks if you're in doubt. And also, certainly pray that that this really bad idea is not acted upon. That invitation by these radical pro-abortion groups to interrupt church services is declined from reasonable people. Most people in this conversation, even if they are pro-choice, are much more thoughtful than what's being proposed. And so, again, hopefully people will be tasteful, will be respectful, and will not disrupt Mother's Day especially, but any church service, which is about prayer and worshiping God, and rather will make the right decision in this case. We continue to pray for the conversion of heart for those who think that the so-called right to take an innocent life is a fundamental human right, that somehow this helps women. It hurts them, especially those girls who are aborted, but also those women who have been sort of coerced into that decision to take the life of their unborn child. We pray for them, for their healing, and for those who would seek to present this as a necessary thing for a culture. It's actually a great step backwards. Anytime a civilization enfranchises in law what they think a human person is, that never turns out well. The greatest genocides throughout history have always been founded on that idea of the state or a group of people get to define what other human beings really are persons and have rights that must be respected and which don't. And this is sort of our modern genocide in its own way. God willing, we'll have conversion of heart and eyes will be opened, but we continue to pray for the unborn, for the conversion of hearts, and for the legal protection of the unborn in our country and also in our states. Well, those are sort of two heavier things to bring to your attention this fireside, but I do want to bring them to our attention, especially the second one. In the unlikely event that this will happen this weekend or this week at Masses, we'll know what to do. But all the same, I thank you all for your goodness, for your prayerfulness, and for your support for me as a pastor and for one another as members of Holy Apostles. God bless you. Bye-bye.